Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're This Week in Pop Culture. My name is Arash, where we're going to be talking about some Jared Leto, some Joker, some Spider Man, maybe some Wonder Woman, but Carol Baskins and Tiger King? More on this right here on This Week in Pop Culture. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My name is Arash Zandieh. With me always is the lovely crew. Here is Sammy Castillo.
Hey,
And
Chris.
with me always is the man with the mask, Mayhem himself, Mr. Michael Mayhem. Of course, this week we're a little shorthanded. Leslie is still on vacation, and Michael has a bit of a family emergency that he needs to take care of. But, we love you all, guys. We're here in spirit. Happy New Year for everyone who's made it. Um,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Waiting for you to take that thing off.
I
Did
guess
you have a good? How you feeling,
I'm
Mister
feeling better.
Mister
Uh,
Mayhem is a little under the weather. Aw. We'll we'll make this nice and gentle just for Mayhem on this lovely.
what are we
That
talking about?
sounds
What are
terrible.
we? Wait, what? I'm on the wrong show.
On the wrong show to keep things nice and gentle. But just to keep these nice and gentle, we'll sort of anyway. We're gonna get a head start. We're gonna talk about Michael B. Jordan set to direct the Creed 3 movie. Michael B. Jordan is taking over 2021 like there is nobody's business. From being a producer for the upcoming Static Shock project to now direct Creed 3 by himself. Yes, that's right. This is the first time Jordan will be the director, but this is not the first in the Rocky franchise. Stallone himself was not only directed 4 of the 6 Rocky films, he also won the Academy Award for Best Director for the 1978 Rocky. Mayhem, let's start with you. What do you think about Michael B. Jordan now taking the reins on being actor, now going from actor, producer, and now director for the Creed franchise?
I think it was inevitable. We had Sylvester do it from all of those Rockies, and what's the first Creed? Why not? Michael B. Jordan's a great actor, and he's shown that. I think he's a great producer, so let him show his chops. Him and Tess, I think, will bring a really good Creed 3, honestly. And I look forward to seeing what happens. I mean, like, I love the reiteration of Creed through his family. It's simple. It's not too wishy washy, and it's relatable. So I think it'd be really dope, honestly. You can't really say too much on it, man. Michael B. Jordan has been knocking it out the park. Pelham
Right.
Bay, Black Panther, Creed, like, come on, give it to the man.
Well, it kind of hurts him in a way when his actually I say his sidekick, which is director for Black Panther, is not even going to be directing this third movie. Do you think that'll hurt him in the long run?
Not at all. I think you know what I think. Honestly, I think he's learned. I could be totally wrong. This movie
Right.
could bomb, but I think I could be totally wrong. But I think he's learned enough that way he can make a movie like Creed very simple and great. You know what I'm saying? Creed is at times layered, but it's a very simple, very good, and if you will, very American movie to make. So
It's,
let it fly. Let it
it's a
fly.
good
He's got it.
and especially having a Philadelphia based as well too, which is any American that can it be. Sammy, your thoughts on Michael B taking those reins and now stepping in the shadows or footsteps of Sylvester Stallone?
I think honestly, he's got, every Rocky film has a formula, and it's been it's been successfully established since 1978 with the first one. So, and honestly, it's probably the best film for him to step in as a director. He's done 2 of them already, one with Stallone. in terms of directing. And Stallone's not going to just, wash his hands and say, good luck, kid. He's going to be a producer, which means any Rocky film, Stallone's going to be on set every day as guidance and likely mentoring. So you're going to have a lot of Stallone's tutelage in how, with Michael, to, tell a good story. And so we're not going to lose Stallone, but he's not going to be like the main director anymore like he was in the past. So I think it's a really smart move for him to get, his directing chops broken in on a franchise that's well established, that is successful, easy story to tell while still being impactful and gripping, and being, another feather in his cap. So I think it's a smart move for him to do it on this, as opposed to, say, like a superhero film or something like that, because that's going to be a lot more complex of storytelling director-wise.
Right. And I guess we'll jump into the next subject, and that does talk about Static Shock, which is actually the current, actually, I say the current project that's currently working on. But here's something I didn't think as well too. Well, it's good that Warner Brothers and HBO are creating superhero exclusives for their channel, but I had no idea that Batgirl was on that list. It seems that Batgirl has been part of the plan since 2018, but with Marvel being steps ahead with Disney Plus, DC, who used to have the DC Universe app, in which all their shows and movie content has now gone to HBO Max. Where do you guys see? And now we're talking about, back to Michael B. Jordan and the whole Static Shock thing.
Okay.
Do you think this is a new positive step, especially with Michael B. Jordan having a home for a franchise, and you also have now the included Batgirl story, which shockingly I didn't know that existed either. Mayhem, I'll start with you, since you're a big DC fan, though. You're huge for Static Shock, and you can't wait for this one.
Okay, so with Batgirl was recently recasted, right? We all know that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with her. And definitely,
First off, wrong show. Batwoman was recasted. Batgirl's completely different.
You're whatever.
The characters there, champ.
Sorry.
No, whatever. All right, so then you're 100%.
But you're right, though. There was
Yeah, so ever since the reason, okay, so Batwoman was recasted, so I was looking forward to seeing like what are they doing with female superheroes is where I'm going with that. So now Batgirl and Static Shock are coming to HBO. I'm like, okay, cool. Static Shock, we cannot wait, because with Static Shock, if they do it right, they can open so much avenues. They can do so many stories, and honestly, it will be probably the biggest hit in a long time. I'm a little conflicted. I'm scared because I think they're gonna ruin it. I think whoever grabs it is gonna ruin it. I think it's a great way to just open up female superheroes, as well as bring a more black conscious superhero and just everything that goes into the big screen, whether it be they decide to do movies after it or a fellow series after that. I think it'd be great, but I think it's gonna fail. Now I don't have faith. Where's Bergie when you need me? Where's Bergie? I need you, because I don't have faith. I'm sorry.
Right. Sammy, your thoughts on the Batgirl, Static Shock?
Well, I actually have faith because HBO Max is going to be quite involved in any HBO exclusives, and they are their storytelling and their production values, I would imagine, or rather in my experience and opinion, are almost, if not equal to Marvel in the way that they write a story, promote it, direct it, and continue on. They've won so many Emmys, it's stupid. So I think you're going to see HBO having a very heavy hand in the exclusive content, and it's not going to be solely Warner Brothers and, Warner Brothers production company handling it. It's just going to be Warner Brothers name on it with HBO producing it. So I'm not going to, I'm hopeful about this because it's a completely different production company making it. And, Michael B. Jordan's going to be a producer for Static Shock. So I'm excited about that because it's really going to open. I feel like Michael B. Jordan stepping up and opening up a producer role for the African-American community, I think is going to open the door for us to see much more diversity, in our superhero films, as opposed to just being whitewashed like we've had for the last 30 plus years. So, and a lot of those stories are awesome, and I can't wait to see them. In terms of Batgirl, I have not heard anything about it. And I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Barbara Gordon, because there are, if she's even going to be Batgirl, which if she's not, I think people are going to riot. But what version of Barbara Gordon are we going to get? Are we going to get the kid? Are we going to get, Oracle,
Right.
or are we going to get the following one with the sewn up face? Which I forget her name because I didn't.
But if we get Oracle, that means Joker's got to go and shoot her, and that becomes another storyline as well too.
Yeah, they could throw in pieces of the Killing Joke. I think that'd be pretty interesting. They're not gonna do that, not in the first one, but
not the first one.
All right, this is for both of you. With the addition of Titans already happening and everything, could you see this be a I guess an additional storyline to what the Titans storyline's already happening right now? Could this be parallel? Because don't forget, this is going to be a standalone movie. Could this be parallel to Titans? Mayhem, let's start with you, since you seem to be thinking very hard about it.
The gerbil's sick. It's trying to run in the wheel.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. If anything, they'll DC. I don't know, unless they can see that Marvel does it good, or maybe they can beat Marvel to doing that. I don't think they'll tie it together. Titans is doing its own thing. I don't see it relating, honestly. I really don't. I wish if we're lucky, we might have it make mention. But actually, I think they'll make mention of a future movie. They'll make mention of a future movie that's coming out to promote that movie. But aside from that, I don't think it will cross paths. It could. I don't think it will.
So just to introduce the character, put her in Titans for like half a season, bring in a villain, and then boom, let's shoot off. Because this seems like, and I think Sammy can answer this one too. Does this seem like at the time, because this being listed for 2016, was this on the jump on the bandwagon of jumping on more, I guess, women relatable comic book characters? Sammy, go ahead.
Absolutely. 2016 was the year that the Me Too movement and the next wave of feminism, we'll say, kind of ran through Hollywood. So they, that's when they remade, Ocean's 11 with all women. They made Ghostbusters with all women. They took all male cast, properties and then put women in it, because at the end of the day, it's money. Right. And the world was clamoring for stronger female, role models and things of that. And that's what Hollywood wanted to give them. And I 100% agree that was sort of a play to what society wanted at the time. Why it didn't go forward, I have no idea. But I don't think it's going to tie in. Warner Brothers and DC properties, pardon my language, do a crap job of tying their properties together, as we all know. So, especially with with TV and film, they're very different. They're two separate entities. I mean, minus Ezra Miller, Ezra being in
Flash.
Being in Flash. That's the only, after like how many years? That's the only movie touch to the TV show. So I don't see it. I see it being separate, and like maybe they'll tie it to a future Batgirl film, or even maybe another film that they'll see. But DC is not. They're very segmented in their film process. So I don't really see them tying Batgirl into anything except maybe a future Batman film. But
which we're still waiting on. God, man, you got thoughts?
No, I was just gonna say that I agree with Sam, man. They do a horrible crap job of like linking the two together, so I don't think that's gonna happen.
Should know, because you constantly, every time we see a DC movie, you and I go through, especially on your show, hours and hours on end of why this was so bad, and finish it.
So like, here's hoping that under the new direction that they get it together and they're like, you know what, we jumped on the bandwagon, we can continue it ourselves and make it really good. We can make Batgirl a really good story. Let's use Batgirl in this one instance, right? So then with that, there lies in a problem. How you propose Batgirl in what universe, right? Is it going to be the Snyder universe? Hopefully not. Let it go. Let it go. Please let it go. Will it be in like the regular new DC Reform universe? Will it be after like maybe a crisis event happened, a multiverse, whatever? Well, let's talk about that then, because then you can't really bring Batgirl into the fray without touching upon Batboy, aka Robin, or Batman. So then, how do you
Right.
do that without saying the same story all over again? You know. So
Right.
hopefully with the new direction they're able to like, okay, they're there, but you'll see them another time. We'll give them another story, and we'll also include Batgirl with it.
I think that's Warner Brothers' main problem is the fact that they've got, they've got almost 100 years worth of comic books and stories, and they give it to a director, and the director's like, well, I'm going to take a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of this and a bit of that and smush it together.
The director goes like
Choose
this.
a
He's like,
Batgirl you're gonna get.
he
You're
goes,
like, look, I'm
anyway,
But
throws it away.
they need like they have no blueprint. The reason Marvel films and Marvel Studios is so successful is because they have a blueprint. They have a universe, and
Yeah.
all of their films tie together. It's what we love about it. But Warner Brothers doesn't have that. They basically hand something to the director, and then they're like, "Here you go. What kind of Batman do you want to do? What Batman do you want to do?" And they're like Chris Nolan's. Chris Nolan basically just took the characters and made his own thing. They weren't based really on any comics. I mean, here and there he took snippets of this and snippets of that, but ultimately it wasn't a comic story. It was Chris Nolan doing Batman. So, and that's what most directors are. That's what Warner Brothers has let directors do instead of having like their Kevin Feige say, "Okay, this is the direction we're going for the film." Hopefully the new, head will give more direction, will steer the ship a bit better than the codgers of old sitting on the board, who talk out of the bottom of their jaws and go, "Oh, yes, this is the Batman film. The plebs will like it. Yes, yes, yes. Oh,
And meanwhile, in the past, since the 1989 to like right now, we've gone through how many Batmans and how many different sequences of Batman where it makes no continuity, no sense. And the only Batman that we like so far was the Christopher Nolan one at the end.
I
At
like
the
the
end.
first one, not the end.
Well, in a way, if Michael Keaton didn't if you had Michael
like
Keaton to
Michael
do all
Keaton
three
Batman
franchises,
We're gonna
better
talk.
than Chris Nolan, than laryngitis Christian Bale.
God man.
I gotta agree with Sammy on that one because I was feeling the voice change until he did it with Terminator. Where are my parents?
What's his angry
Where-
voice?
That's true. Where is he? And where's my yeah, exactly. Where's my father? Where?
Whatever.
I
So
mean,
like,
Where's Kyle Reese? Where's Kyle Reese?
Put a voice modulator on at that point. Like if he's gonna have it, like don't make him do the stupid voice. Put a voice modulator on the cowl
All
or
right.
something.
All right,
I
before we change subject, real quick.
Uh-huh.
Who's your favorite Batman? Who's your favorite Bruce Wayne? Mayhem go first, one of each, and then Sammy one of each, and then we'll continue on. Ooh, tough.
Oh my god, this is the worst one
All right,
ever.
I'll go first.
All right,
Yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead, Sammy.
No, no.
Sammy. I want to hear something.
Okay,
Yes,
so
Sammy.
I'm going to even further segment the Batmans and Bruce Waynes because, visually speaking, my favorite visual Batman was actually Ben Affleck's because he looked exactly like Frank Miller's Batman, and
Okay.
that is awesome. I did not like him as Batman or Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
The
I
world is gonna
like
go crazy.
I loved how Michael Keaton acted as Batman, and I actually really liked him as Bruce Wayne, but he visually didn't look like Bruce Wayne. But I did like Christian Bale visually for Bruce Wayne. So
Okay. Lot to go by. Lot to go by.
visually, I
Acting.
Okay.
Acting. Okay. Acting as Bruce Wayne. You picked Val. I mean, you picked Michael
didn't pick
Keaton.
Val Kilmer. No one picks
I
Val
know, sorry.
Kilmer.
Go ahead,
Pick
man. Let's
him.
go. Let's go.
Can I pick Robert Pattinson? Can I pick him? Yeah.
Yes,
So-
you can pick Robert Pattinson.
I won't.
I'm
yeah.
vengeance.
I'm gonna have to go with the Batman that we have. I think I like Ben Affleck's Batman honestly, you look at the scenes or whatever. We're gonna take out Justice League because him being a comic relief doesn't work at all. I didn't like him as Bruce Wayne at all because he made no sense. He's a great detective. It made no sense. People call about how he killed people in the beginning. That was 1940s Batman. He was killing people, quote unquote. They were falling to their death. He wasn't doing anything about it. So okay, I'll let that slide. As far as Bruce Wayne goes, out of all the Batman we've had currently, I'm going with Chris Nolan's the second one, the second movie Batman. Honestly, um, don't get me wrong. Val Kilmer, we don't speak about. Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton had his role, but it was dated. It was dated for me. That was it. I can't grow with that Batman. Any other Batman? Ben Affleck's Batman, Bruce Wayne particularly made no sense. He was angry at an alien because maybe the alien might do something, even though the alien spent all his time saving us from 3 aliens before, like him. It didn't make any sense.
I will
Martha!
I will say though that Batman has always been xenophobic toward Superman. It's just it was in the comics and the cartoons, the Bruce Timm's Justice League. He had reason, and it was written well as to why he had this reason.
Right.
But in Batman versus Superman, it was not well written. It was like, there it is. He hates Superman, and you have to accept it.
It doesn't make sense.
All right,
it doesn't
move it. All right, we're going to move on because we're going to talk about the box office draw, sort of, or couch office draws, whatever one you guys want to talk about, on the latest superhero movies. I'm only going to list the DC and Marvel movies. The DC list is kind of short for this year alone. The movie is a lot longer, but we all know Justice League is coming out. The Snyder Cut is coming out in March. We don't know the exact date. We have Morbius coming out March 19th. We'll finally probably get to see Black Widow after 2 date changes. That's coming out on May 17th. We have Venom, Let There Be Carnage on June 25th. Shang-Chi, yes, comes out on July 19th. We also have Suicide Squad coming out August 6th. Eternals on November 5th. And hopefully, as Mayhem and I have discussed many times, Spider-Man, whatever title they discuss, 3, coming out December 17th, 2021. Now, out of the list that we have just discussed, there's some scary touches, I'd say, on DC's part. But we also have excitement because, especially with Marvel and Sony deal, us getting 2 Sony movies prior to the Spider-Man 3 movie. Let's start with you. Out of the list, what movie are you more excited to see?
It's a tough choice. I'm tied. But what? What is that for?
There's only one thing to be excited for.
One.
Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man, whatever movie they
one of my choices. But I'm not solely brainwashed by the web. So I am looking
forward to be brainwashed by the web. Live with the web. Embrace the web. Become Madam Web. That's
you know what? Just for that, I'm super excited for the Snyder Cut. So there.
Goodbye.
Top 1.
Goodbye. Interview over.
No, I'm actually, and the only reason I'm excited, I'm stoked for Spider-Man. Super stoked. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen with it. But I'm the only reason I'm super excited about Morbius is because I loved reading the comic, but it's also a very different type of storytelling from, regular Marvel superhero movies. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it, to make it, cool, because you've got Marvel Studios after 10 years of refining a genre. You now have, Morbius, which is kind of an anti-hero. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it and how well they, execute that. But definitely super excited for Spider-Man. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mayhem. Let us in.
We already know.
Listen.
Because we know what it is. Because the next week, when we find out more news about Spider-Man, this is all it's going to be.
That's all good.
Wonder Woman 1984 aside.
Talking
And
about
he knows
this year. That already.
I know. So Wonder Woman 1984 aside, and what I'm talking about is the horrible disappointment that was. And Wonder Woman 3, which will not come out in the same year, I am excited for. That's right, I stuck it in there. I'm excited for Spider-Man 3. Listen, Snyder Cut is not going to do anything except tell you how bad of a director, producer, whatever this man is, because you know what? He had one good movie and that was it. Everybody was like, oh, he's really great. He's messed up everything else. He's messed up everything else. Okay, but let's just say it does. I don't care for it. Whatever. Morbius, I will agree. Sammy, I'm looking forward to that. Can we talk about Widow, Black Widow? People may not care about her, but I'm looking for how it sets up everything else in the universe. So I'm looking forward to the end credits scene, maybe some Easter eggs in between there. Venom 2, Carnage, Woody Harrelson? Come on.
Yes.
Come
Yeah.
on. Come on.
It'll
And of
be.
course,
It'll be in.
Spider-Man 3, yet again.
Right.
I know
You,
Hash wants to speak, but let me tell you something about Spider-Man 3, okay? You can't watch this show and not watch Spider-Man 3. It is an insult to me, Bergie. I'm putting Bergie on this, and Leslie.
Bergie on blast. Bergie's on blast.
Okay? Insult to all three of us. Sammy might let you slide. I'm sorry.
There we go. So there we go. We got more. It's pretty much we're pretty much calling. We're all looking forward to whatever Sony projects that we have going on because we know what Marvel's going through, but then we don't know what Sony's going to go through. And we've seen this before, especially with the Amazing Spider-Man. As we said time and time again, after that debauchery of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and everyone going, "How did you mess this up by giving us a metal rhino?"
I know.
I still want to see it though.
You'd actually see Metal Rhino.
I would love to see Metal Rhino. If they had a really good reason why, like it could be an exoskeleton suit, which makes sense why he has so much muscle and strength. You know what I'm saying? And then something happens, boom, then he becomes an actual rhino.
You know, you could say that about any character as long as it's written well. I mean, look at Iron Man. Before
That's true.
the actual film of Iron Man, he was a drunken, wife beater who was a throwaway B-list character. But it got good acting, good story, a good script and a good director that took it seriously and made it what the fans wanted. So you could, honestly, any character that's not the typical, main title character, I'm excited for.
And to answer the question, where is he? Bergie literally had to work a little late at work. So he'll be back next week. Don't worry about it, guys. Speaking of more fun stuff, and actually speaking about you with Morbius, apparently Jared Leto wants the release of the Ayer cut, which is pretty much, I don't know why we should even discuss this. That's the Suicide Squad movie. Jared Leto wants another crack at the Joker. He has stated that ownership of the studio meddled with Suicide Squad. Leto also stated that his movie was ripped into pieces and he took the hits like a champ when the studio cut hit the streets. At this rate, I don't even know. Should we even think about a different version of the Suicide Squad? I mean, look, the damage is already done. So DC's just trying to fix it.
So, the original, the Ayer cut or however you say his name, was actually a super serious sort of art house film, and the preview the original trailer did not match it. And so people were going in expecting this, superhero kind of romp, and they got a super serious, sinister art house film, and it tested like crap. So what Warner Brothers did was they commissioned or had the production company that edits all of their movie trailers to edit the film, which is why it kind of plays like a super long trailer, because the trailer was pieced together and that's what people wanted. Then after that, they held it because Deadpool came out, and Deadpool tested amazing, and he was dark and funny and sinister and was super successful. So Warner Brothers then said, well, we got to write some funny scenes. So then they went back in and did pickups and humorous quips back and forth with the characters, and then re-edited it. So the original film to the one that we saw has been edited 3 times. And Leto was right. There was heavy handedness with the storytelling and recuts with Warner Brothers. So you had a bunch of board members basically making the Suicide Squad that we saw, which is why it felt kind of weird and disjointed at times. So I'd like to see what Ayer did, I'm because it's going to be such a completely different film than what we saw, I mean, there's even scenes in the trailers that don't even show up in the actual film. They completely cut out the Asian chick. What's her name? Katana? They completely cut her character out. She had huge scenes in the original cut from what they said. So I would actually like to see what Ayer actually had in mind.
Okay.
So you like to see if it was the violent an aspect that Jared Leto has said time and time again of how violent his character was, to the point where it was Warner Brothers making that push that once they saw Deadpool, they're going, we're going to lose to this. Instead of fighting their own version and fighting against Deadpool, like they didn't need comedy for this. This is DC. DC always had that dark, gritty story. I never saw it as a humor movie.
But that's what they tried to do. That's why that whole bar scene that they had was never in the original cut. That was all pickup shots.
That makes sense because I could just see them just like not going through.
Yeah.
God, Mayhem, would you like to see the Ayer cut?
Yeah, I'd like to see it. And also, I think we should give Jared Leto another chance, man. I mean, remember Chris Hemsworth? Remember Thor? First two movies, trash. I'm sorry, they were trash. I mean, all right, they were okay. You know what I'm saying? But then he got better. And then especially when they allowed him to be himself and kind of migrate that into the character, Ragnarok, and everything else worked really well. So why not do that? Give Jared another chance. Let's release the cut. Let's see if the cut's any good. I don't really care for the cuts, but let's at least see it. And then give Jared a chance to actually grow with the character. He might be the character that is very much well accepted after his portrayal of the Joker. You understand? There are supposedly 3 different types of Jokers in the DC film now. DC universe, excuse me, not DC film, DC universe. So he can be one of the ones that we want and we want to kind of like stand for. I'd say go ahead with it for sure.
All right. Well, you said something that actually caught my interest. Well, you said Chris Hemsworth was terrible in the first 2 movies. And do we forget that Chris Hemsworth opened up that door after doing Ghostbusters? People forget that Ghostbusters was done way before Ragnarok was even made. Do you feel that with Hemsworth having the open door to be comedic in Ghostbusters, that helped them with Ragnarok?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he filmed with four or five comedic super popular comedic women. Right. So, and I mean, Chris is awesome. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, and he's pretty, but I'm sure there was a lot of education that went on and acting lessons that went on before, he stepped foot on set.
Oh my God.
It's true.
Speaking more on
Got it.
Thanks. We ruined my segment. Everything.
He's not the sharpest tool in the bond,
right? Well, with Jared Leto actually is reprising the Joker role. Jared Leto will be returning to collaborate one more time with Zack Snyder to reprise his role in the Snyder Cut for Justice League, teasing that both they have lots up their sleeves and soon to be added, seem to be the completed Snyder Cut, which recruited Leto and other DC film stars for a brief round of additional photography late last year. Leto returned to the Joker role for the first time since Suicide Squad in 2016, but Leto's Joker will have a new look for the Justice League movie. If I remember correctly, the same look and voice and everything that was for Suicide Squad was supposed to be in Justice League, and yet again, another huge major cut that those scenes with Batman were the first things cut. Right. If Jared Leto isn't have that gangster beat look, what other Joker looks would you like to see coming out? Mayhem, let's go with you first.
So he could be like the old school, where he could kind of still be gangster, but have like the top hat, the purple suit, or something like that, where he's a little bit more mysterious. I think that would work perfectly. Versus whatever that was in Suicide Squad. Like, just let it go. Jared Leto, please, if you hear me, come more polished and don't look like you're trying to fit in a rap video or like whatever music video. Like your name is Lil Joker, Little Uzi Vert. Like just just look like a gangster with simple on the clown, and it works because there's so many standalone DC looks in the DC universe that you can pick up a comic and be like, that is Joker. And you don't have to look like you did in Suicide Squad. So whichever one he does, I preferably want to see the Man in Purple. Bring back the purple suit and maybe have a really good interpretation of it after, like towards the end of the movie. You
So
understand?
would you like to see like a Killing Joke version look in a way?
Leave the Killing Joke out of this. Leave the
Fair.
Killing, because you know what? Because the Killing Joke came out and animated, and everybody was upset about it, especially when what was it? Batman and Batgirl were kicking boots or whatever, because that was a part of the original story. I think that's going to open way too much, and DC right now is playing on thin ice. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So like, leave that alone. But maybe the look, maybe I don't want to. I don't want to mess around with it. Honestly, I'm gonna
Sammy,
say no to
what
100.
what version of the Joker, especially many times before, which you've seen, what
Mhm.
version would you like to see Jared Leto portray in Justice League? Or do you think
Um,
go out of the way and just create something new out of Joker?
so I think I didn't. So when I first saw the gangsta Joker like in stills, I thought it was awful, and it was really terrible. But putting him in that film, I think it fit for the film, whether I like it or not. And I actually enjoyed how he played the Joker. It reminded me of what we saw in the animated series. Um, but that aside, I think they're going to put Joker in during the post the apocalyptic scenes. After Darkseid comes down and trashes the planet. Like I think he's going to be like I think we're going to see like post-apocalyptic Joker, which would be awesome because he's crazy enough to have survived that sort of invasion. So I want to see something like that. I mean, we have our tried and true, and they keep regurgitating Joker and they keep regurgitating Joker, and he's always super clean with the fedora or the thing, and we've had all of that already. I want to see something new. I want post-apocalyptic Joker.
Okay,
Okay.
so you want to see
I want
Joker on like a cliff or whatever with a
to,
bazooka
yeah,
taking out other
I want Mad
enemies
Max
because
Joker. That's what I want. Darkseid coming in with the flyy things that look like weird skull monkey
Parademons.
things, whatever they're called.
parody
Yeah.
that. I mean,
And then
let,
like the Joker and the Joker club behind him, like ready to kick ass and take names. Like that's what I
Yeah.
want to see. That's a Joker we've never seen before. And I think that'd be really awesome.
Okay.
okay.
I'm
All
excited.
right. And Leslie, who isn't here to join us today, she commented with saying 1960s Batman Joker.
Even
Island.
more
So,
Joker.
given a little Cesar Romeo background as well too. Actually,
We kind of got that.
With Jack Nicholson, yeah, we did.
yeah, we
We
kind
kind
of did get
Yeah. Yeah.
so into something that I didn't see coming, and especially watch if you were one of those people that watched the ball drop, you took the time to watch TV. If you weren't watching Channel 7, but you managed to turn on CNN. Apparently, Carol Baskin was a guest on the Anderson Cooper. Well, well, down the rabbit hole we go, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Tiger Cave goes,
2020.
right? Welcome to 2021. Carol Baskins with her husband Howard stopped by Anderson Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen New Year's show on CNN. A plot twist that Cohen pulled off during the New Year's Eve show. Baskin stated that Kate McKenna, who will be playing her for an upcoming TV show, has not reached out to her and really hopes she does before she gets too far down the line with it. I'd love to know what her take is on it and what she's thinking on doing and see if there is a way to advise her. I'm pretty sure Kate has it covered. We know, we know. All you know, all you need to learn about Carol Baskins is just go look at all her crazy YouTube videos, guys. I mean, Kate McKenna's a pro. Does she really need to go talk to, especially that crazy line that she was hoping to get to her before she goes down that line? let's take that statement for instance. Mayhem, what you really think there's something else going on now because with that little statement on New Year's?
Listen. 2020 was a horrible year. It was just really bad. But we all agreed on one thing. She killed her husband. She whacked him. Okay, Carol Baskin. Okay, it was Carol Baskin.
Joker
Um,
style, whacked him.
you know, what was what's the Tiger's favorite ice cream? Carol Baskin and Robbins. So like, I mean, the fact that she made it on TV. Listen, I don't. What? Why do we have? Why do we? Why are we still talking about her? Why is she still a thing? What has she contributed to society except murder? Okay, like what has she done?
Fish oil?
Exactly. Huh?
Fish oil on her husband's clothes? I don't know.
I don't
Fish
know.
oil.
Listen. Carol Baskins needs to go. I don't know why she appeared on CNN's New York Eve show. It's yes, Leslie, you're right. We give this woman way too much attention. Whatever. Next, if they make a comic about her, I will be blown out my mind that she made it that far. I don't know.
Right. Sammy, now with her two latest lines, especially live on TV this time, you really think she did it?
Absolutely. When they brought up a question. Now I didn't see it live, but I did watch like replay of it, and he brought up something like, "What are you most notorious for?" And she did not
Deny.
defend the fact that she did not murder her husband. Like, because she said something about her crazy cats or whatever, and then started insulting Cardi B, who used digital cats in her, WAP video. So, but it, like, she didn't deny it, and she did.
She did. No, we're gonna milk this, Jay, but we're gonna milk this. No, because we all know Carol Baskins killed her husband. Let's get it down the line. And Andy Cohen, if you watch that segment, oh my God, drops an egg like there's no tomorrow.
He really murdered that interview.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
He deserves one of those news awards just for that.
Yes.
Just for that.
We should all go. Well, Sammy isn't here. Mayhem and I will go to Andy Cohen's studio and give him an award. So we'll stop by there very shortly.
Right.
Speaking of someone who's going to murder their role for the next coming movie, and yes, we're going to go back to some more Jared Leto. Jared Leto seems to be more excited about playing Morbius. He stated that it's a Jekyll and Hyde story that's big and fun, and sometimes a little scary, which is different from that genre. This is a character that has a lot of conflict in his life. He is a guy born with a horrible disease and is really a gifted person. Morbius is a young boy who is very curious and courageous and loves science and medicine and has decided to dedicate his life to finding a cure for his disease. There is a dark side. His character battles between the light and the dark, and it's something he fights throughout the film. Ladies and gentlemen, as excited I'm going to be, and I think Sammy has mentioned as well too. I'm excited for Morbius. I mean, I'm excited the fact that he's into the character. I'm excited to see how this is going to go to the next storyline if they actually do this, especially with you screaming Spider-Man 3 or Into the Spider-Verse. Mayhem, let's go with you. More Jared Leto on Morbius.
Okay. So
for it.
Thanks, Bob. So with Morbius, I feel like Jared would be a lot better because, you're following the act of Heath Ledger. I don't care what anybody says. Like, whenever we think of the Joker, we think of Heath Ledger's performance. Some people may think Joaquin Phoenix's performance was better. Some people be diehard fans of Jack Nicholson, whichever. Heath Ledger, I think, is the act to kind of like either beat, surpass, or meet. I think as he works on Morbius now, he'll be a lot more comfortable. He'll be able to grow a character. He doesn't have to worry about those stipulations. And it'd be great to see Morbius, who's, like he said, is a Jekyll and Hyde kind of character, so that we can kind of get to fall in love and be heartbroken by this character now. So now he can put like his acting chops there. And I really feel like he's going to knock it out the park with this role. With the Joker scene, yeah, I'm hopeful, it's like there. But I think with Morbius, I think this is it. I think
Right.
he's going to kill it. I think everybody else feels the same way because once again, he's not dealing with that big. Well, Heath Ledger did this, and Joaquin Phoenix did this, and they're greater actors. What are you going to do? It's like, okay, well, how are you going to bring this actually C-list character to screen and make him relatable and make us love it? And I
Right.
think that's a lot easier.
Well, they're
Okay.
also not. He's also not shouldering a legacy of decades of films, with an iconic character. He's establishing the character and the benchmark of how this character is going to be played. So he is the only voice that everybody's going to use as a benchmark from here on out. I like the fact that it's a different character that we've never seen. It's never even been mentioned or hinted upon. It's a well enough, known character that he can carry his own film without forcing too much because he had his own comic. So I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah. As you said
As
before,
I
as both of you have
back on
mentioned.
his question.
No, that was perfect. No, because that's uh but to piggyback off even Mayhem, and he's right and everything because of the fact that it's not Joker. We haven't gone through the Cesar Mayo, Jack Nicholson, to Heath Ledger, to Joaquin Phoenix, and now Jared Leto. We have now one Morbius, and the only other Morbius we've seen is on the Spider-Man cartoon series.
That's
So
not much of a.
no, so actually there is a bar, and most people, even in voiceover acting, have actually used Mark Hamill when it came to voicing even Joker.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
When Jack Nicholson came on, he literally looked at Cesar Mayo as an influence of what he's done as the Joker
Right.
character. Jared Leto doesn't have anything, as you said. It's fresh.
Yeah.
He gets to put his stamp and what he's going to do
Yep.
first, compared to what other people have done to twist and mold a character in their own shape or in their own way. We'll say.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not having to compete and copy, like if he did something close to what, Heath Ledger did with the character, it's like, oh, you're copycatting.
Right.
If
Right.
we went more toward the, say Mark Hamill, oh, you're copycatting. So, he's dodging all of these landmines, so to speak, to try and find his Joker's voice, while still trying to be, in the box of what fans want. And that doesn't work with that sort of a lineage.
Well, what's the tagline? It's good art copies, great art steals, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's only a matter of time where people are still going to be like, you still copied from XYZ when he goes back to Joker. But like you said, and I'm going to let you finish, with Morbius, it's his own stamp. He gets to do it all. Like, just like you said, like, it is boom, it is all me. Unless, of course, he makes a mistake and somehow, I don't know, makes somebody's acting career from some other movie. And he's just like, but it was just a little part of Thor I added.
I think this
Well,
is a character for Jared Leto as well. He is much more of a dramatic actor. I mean, when he played the serial killer,
Right.
Ed Kemper, I believe it was. He was phenomenal. So I think this again. I think he's always been more of a dark, broody character rather than a crazy, over the top kind of character in terms of acting. So I'm excited to see his dark, broody with Morbius.
I'm trying to remember. Has he ever played a vampire in a movie? I don't remember. Has he ever played a? I feel like he has played a vampire, but not for long enough time.
Let's IMDb it and find out.
Right? No, let's have the fans discuss and everything too. Does anyone remember if Jared Leto has actually played a vampire or not? Let us know now, as because we're going to continue on to the next topic. Actually, Leslie says he's a chameleon. He's going to slay Morbius.
Okay.
Anywho, while we figure that part out when it comes to has Jared Leto played a vampire or not, back to some more. This is the pursuit of the pardon. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, more Tiger King for you guys. The days are ticking away. The country will soon have a new president to lead this great nation. And Exotic Joe is still looking for high hopes to be pardoned. The Tiger King is hoping that the current president, President Trump, will pardon him in the next few days. Joe Exotic and his legal team have done quite a bit to get the pardon consideration from Trump. And according to the latest development, it seems that they succeeded in getting in front of the president. Whether he will ultimately pardon him will remain to be seen, but they are going to give it their best shot. Mayhem, let's start with you. Do you really, it'd be interesting to see if we're going to spend time in the news just based on Joe Exotic, but you feel like the president's going to waste any more time just to pardon him on these latest developments, or no?
No, but can DC get their Justice League movie banned from the president as well? Because I'm just like I'm tired of it. It's just this trash movie. Can we get it banned? Is that a thing that can happen? I think that's more important. Tiger King, Tiger King. Look, if he does get pardoned, then this is only going to fuel his whole band, his brand further, and then we'll see where it goes. Because I don't know. Like if he does get pardoned, I think he'll make a commercial visit. We'll see him in commercials or more commercials, and it's just like whatever, whatever. This man is worried about votes. I want, I would like the president to talk crap about Justice League. That would be awesome.
Right?
whichever one, just let him. That would be awesome.
Sammy, I mean, look, Joe's going to keep dancing. He's praying to every single known religious figure known to man to get his pardon. Do you really think that it's ever, ever, ever going to happen in the next few days?
Well, in order to get a pardon, it has to have a reason why he needs to be pardoned. So I mean, this has been a very strange year and a very strange presidency. So, who knows? But normally you need a reason to be pardoned, and either you gave back or you knew evidence was shown or whatever. And as of yet, we have yet to see any of that. You've got people that were in prison that acted as informants that saved hundreds of thousands of lives, and that person got pardoned. So to my knowledge, Joe Exotic has never done anything like that. So
well, technically, the only thing he stole is a pair of underwear with his face on it. And the plane coming in is going to also bear his face on the plane as well, too, while flying to Washington, D.C. I mean, look, if you live in the D.C. area and you take a picture and you're by the airport, please take a picture of the plane. I want to see how ridiculous that plane looks.
Oh, my God.
What?
Please no.
Just for Mayhem's sake, post the photo on his page. Just go to his Instagram and tag him in pure Mayhem. That's right. Just tag him as
pure Mayhem. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of more exciting news and everything, especially for the gentleman right below us, Sony has given us more during this holiday, as they have a picture on their Twitter account. But not just any picture, but a picture of Spider-Man 299. No further details yet, but was just a post. But let alone the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse comes out October 7th of 2022. Sammy, let's start with you. What does this all mean? I mean, look, now they posted Spider-Man 299. Do you see the original animated cast returning, or you just see a different storyline where it's Spider-Man, I guess Miles Morales and Spider-Man 299?
Well, they've already, at the end of the original, they've already insinuated,
Spider-Man 299.
All the various other Spider-Mans, so I think it's going to be a combo of, 2099 and then what we saw. I mean, 2099 was awesome. And to have it animated in the same style as the original Spider-Verse is going to be mind-blowing. Every single still was a masterpiece, and the layers upon layers of compositing and artistic things that they did in that film. Every time I watch it, I find something new and visually that they've done. And it's a solid creation. So, to have that involved with 2099, I would love to see that. I think it could be just 2099, but it's supposed to be a sequel. And, so typically it would be, Miles will be involved in it in some form or fashion. In what way, I don't know, but we'll see.
There you go. Mayhem
So
299.
2099, we definitely took a look at the pictures. I think the pictures were kind of still shots from like the ending of the movie for when he's going back. But I think the pictures so far just to remind us that it's coming, to kind of build up the hype. Now, since we're talking about the sequel, like Sammy said, it's gonna have Miles Morales. Shamik Moore is gonna go voice it again. Dope. I can't wait. There obviously has to be something wrong for Spider-Man 2099, whose name I cannot remember. He has to come back and talk to Miles Morales if he's in the future, or if he's multiversal hopping. So it's got to be a different storyline. I'm looking forward to it because they knocked it out the park with this one. I at the first was on the fence about it, and I watched it again. It is a dope film. It is a great film. I have to give it its props. It is dope. So I do think Spider-Gwen will make a return back, because if you guys remember, it seemed like he was communicating with her through this multiverse back and forth, and it seems like they got a love interest going on. People love Spider-Ham. Nicolas Cage's Spider Noir was a hit as well. So I think they'll make a comeback. Maybe we'll get more characters as well, more Spider-Man-esque characters. But I don't know. I think, honestly, Spider-Gwen will be the one that stays the longest. Everybody else will be like a quick flip through, if you will.
It's Miguel O'Hara, by the way.
Miguel O'Hara, thank you very much.
Well, with the ending that they put in, right? Like, because I literally just recently watched it. Yeah.
The pointing.
All the pointing. They insinuated with the storytelling that there was a problem Miguel was aware of and is having to go back, back in time or back to these other universes to fix this problem. That's pretty much the setup at the end credits. Peter Porker.
Yellow Harrow, thank you.
So I think it's going to be a situation where Miguel is going to end up coming back to meet Miles, like you had said. That would be kind of the smart way to do it, because then we get to go back to Miles's world, and that's what we know. It's a very bad move that Marvel will never make, to completely remove us from a world that we fell in love with. That's just suicide, and they won't do that because they're too smart for that writing wise. Well, what they might do is have Miguel come back, grab Miles, and then we move forward and they bounce around. But we're still, we are still going to be going back to Miles's New York, even if it's just to pick him up, to bring him along, Eminem. Even if it's just to bring him along. And then, we'll get to tag along to maybe all of the other, other Spider-Verses like Peter Porker's and, the Nick Cage, Spider Noir, and bring us to their worlds. Does that make sense? Because storytelling-wise, that would be smart.
Right, because we could see the wrestler who is known as Spider-Man. We can finally see the other version of the six-armed Spider-Man that is currently that's a normal look for him. Yeah, or we have what is it? A Doc Ock Spider-Man, which is part of another Spider-Verse. So there's other. I mean, look, we can go on and on and on, and most of you guys will be kind enough to list us every single Spider-Man that exists in the Spider-Verse, or just there is a lot. But only your favorite, and only actually look, if they put in Ben Reilly, that would be pretty cool as well too. We finally get the Ben Spider-Man as well too, or Peter. Yeah, so there's tons and tons of stuns. They did Madam Web. If you remember, Madam Web was Aunt May, and hopefully this time we actually do get an actual Madam Web.
Madam Web, right.
So it's kind of hard.
One of the films coming out.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see. Actually, for the live action, it's going to be Doctor Strange who's going to be playing the version of Madam Web. And then in the Spider-Verse, hopefully they finally do have a Madam Web,
Madam Web,
because when
right.
they have to put everything together, it was Aunt May who was piecing everyone together
Right.
and explained, because this was during the death of Spider-Man,
Right.
which was it was a good continuity. I like
Absolutely.
Aunt May as being a quick as a quick Madam Web.
Yeah.
I like Doc Ock into the Spider-Verse. Liz, like, come on, like, who didn't like her?
Right. I didn't
I
expect
loved
her.
her in that. That was
I
awesome.
I totally forgot. I'm like, wait a minute, are they? Wait, no, because sometimes they don't. Because you go to other characters and they mention a character, but they don't become that persona.
Right. No, I
So that
really,
kind of
I really liked her, for Doc Ock. I thought she was way more sinister than, in that than she was in the Tobey Maguire one. He was a clown with arms.
speaking of the clown with arms and everything, as Sammy says, the clown with arms, we're gonna go to Mayhem's other subject, and this is still continuing on the theory of Spider-Man.
Yes.
Is the current Spider-Man movie arc heading to Superior Spider-Man movie arc? Time will tell, as Spider-Man is just listing. Look, there is about 14,605 possible scenarios of where Spider-Man 3 may be going, which includes Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Sammy's favorite, Doc Ock, and the list goes on. On. Which we all know goes into a version of Spider-Verse, into the Sinister Six. Well, what happens at the end, whether we get Craven or not, when it comes to the super superior Spider-Man who goes into survival mode, will we finally see that towards the end? Sammy, let's start with you. With what you've read so far, with everything with Spider-Man 3 happening, do you see this version of Spider-Man happening, or eventually we'll finally get Spider-Man and Friends?
Um,
No. Sorry.
as much as I think, as I being a comic book fan as well, would love to see this actually happening. I really don't foresee it happening. It and the reason is because comic book wise, it holds a lot of weight because we know Doc Ock. We grew up with Doc Ock. He is one of the big baddies, and most well known. And the reason that story, comic book wise, works so well is because we have decades of reading about him and this Tales of Spider-Man and whatnot. In terms of film, we don't have that emotional attachment, good or bad, with these characters, because we see them for 3 films and they're gone, or we see them for a film and they're gone. So I don't see that happening, because Doc Ock was a flash in the pan. That was it. We don't, as viewers, we don't have that emotional attachment to carry a story like that. As cool as the story was in the comics, I really don't see it happening film wise, because the viewership isn't going to be there. We're not going to understand, or we as comic book readers would understand, but the general person going to see Spider-Man because that's all they know in terms of the films is not going to get the weight of the switch. And the character development that this super bad villain is now getting influenced by, Spider-Man's code of honor, and now starting to turn into a hero. That sort of character development, you have to have those decades of evil that we have read over the years in order for that to be a successful character development story, which is mostly what that is. And we just don't have that in the film. So I really don't see them doing it. I think it would be a very unwise choice.
All right, go ahead, man.
We talked about this last week. I would love to see Superior Spider-Man and in a live action film. Even if they brought it in animated verse, that'd be awesome as well. For those that don't know, Superior Spider-Man is really Doc Ock in Peter Parker's body. Okay, and then he becomes a way better Spider-Man to a point where he's making his spider toys, whatever, and they're going around scouting the city, and they're deciding what what crimes he should be responding to that are beyond the police or firefighters' control. So, but then at the same time, if it's like a fire, he's making sure the fire department's on it already. He becomes a way better Spider-Man. He becomes a way better Peter Parker. He helps him becomes head of a corporation. Like, it'll be dope. Now, let's talk about where the placement would go. Okay, if it came down to it, I could see it happening in Spider-Man 3 at the end, or maybe 4, if they obviously they're coming out with a 4th one. But here's what I think they should do. See, we haven't been introduced to Doc Ock in Tom's universe. So we don't know if it's gonna be a man or a woman. If it's a man, then let Olivia take over. Or even in Miles Morales' universe, let Olivia come back. You know what I'm saying? That would be dope because Olivia killed it. I see it happening. I see it working really great. I think it's a one-shot movie though, because everybody loves Spider-Man. Nope, we love Dr. Otto Octavius, I guess. We don't see it really staying that long. But I think it would reinvigorate the character if we got a woman to portray her this time, for sure. For sure. So for my say, Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Man number 4. But it depends on what they do with Spider-Man 3.
Right. This all we're just speculating because this probably won't be happening. I don't see it to be even for the animated version. That sounds like a great animation version when it comes to that. But then we also seen haven't seen what the 3 Spider-Mans are going to look like. Meanwhile, we're going with the speculation of so much speculation as we discussed time and again. We're not going to see 3 Spider-Mans towards the end of the movie, and then as Mayhem and I have discussed many times, the fourth Spider-Man movie is going to give us the 3 Spider-Mans and maybe some additional characters and villains to have this generic fight. This can go on for 7. This looks like a good 7-part movie, or be into the 7 movies of the current Tom Holland Spider-Man, and on and on and on. Could the Superior Spider-Man arc work? Yes. After the 3 Spider-Men defeat all their villains. Later, when they introduce a Doc Ock for Tom Holland's universe, who steps up? Is there a Doc Ock in the current universe? Does Doc Ock meet his counterpart?
Yeah.
There's so many scenarios. Like, because we'll see oh my god, I was gonna say Static Shock. But you know what I'm talking about, Jamie Foxx's character. Will he see his
Electro.
other counterparts? Electro see his other counterparts. We have Vulture. So we all know Vulture's there. We still haven't heard if Morbius or Venom is involved. Does Morbius help Spider-Man? Is Morbius just sticking out in the background? Does Blade come in? Well, that's another joke.
Yeah.
Does
them using the idea of Superior Spider-Man, where someone takes over as Spider-Man, like how it happens in the comic, but I don't foresee it being utilized in the same way. So I see it as being sort of like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of situation, where you get evil Peter,
Yeah.
But again, it's too far removed from what Disney and Marvel have been steering towards, and they don't do one-shot films. As much as you want to love and have a one-shot film, Mayhem, they don't do one-shot flicks. Every film is tied into every other film. So they're not going to take a risk on, I could see them, like I said, taking a piece of that story and utilizing it as like a temporary thing, but it's not going to be a permanent, sort of thing. But I agree, if they do make it, it'll probably be animated.
Yeah, but we'll probably have to see if they do even a CGI version of a Stan Lee, but most likely it'll be like Iron Man, just a painting on the wall to say, "We miss you, brah." Kind of like that.
Yeah. It depends on his estate, too. If his estate wants Stan Lee's image to be used in the future movies, and who's going to pay for his appearance, too. That's another thing.
They were doing it as a nod to, one of the creators, not, to pay homage. So.
As much as everyone wants to see Deadpool in a Spider-Man movie, or will Deadpool show up in this movie? Will Deadpool be the Stan Lee cameo we've all been writing for, we'll say, and
That's
we'll
why you get three companies together. That's
right
fun.
or
Even though
could
Disney owns Fox, that's still a lot of legal crap they have to go through for that one cameo. And I don't. And Disney's closing, stopping construction on rides. So I seriously doubt that they're going to be spending that money for a cameo.
well, they could, but we all know Ryan Reynolds. He finds a way to get someone to do something for free, and we saw that in Deadpool 2, where we saw Brad Pitt kind of magically show up, and Brad Pitt did a favor just to cameo in the movie. So
Matt Damon did too, and Alan Tudyk.
yes, they did for Thor 3. Which is pretty cool. Do it for free, get a little cameo, and your name gets into the credits somehow.
Right.
So points to the guys.
I think Matt Damon and Alan were uncredited.
They got paid for. Well, no, they're credited.
Oh, they're credited.
They're credited.
Oh, okay.
Brad Pitt's the only one that got the credit only got the credit for the DVD Blu-ray release. For the theatrical version, never got the credit because they didn't want it spoiled. They didn't because what happens is if you put him on the list and it ends up on IDW for the credits, it'll ruin the spoil for the movie. Sure. His name was mentioned afterwards so that cameo was not spoiled, which is pretty cool. Still pretty cool though. But speaking of spoilers, I see.
Oh, I'm not watching this one.
Yeah, sorry. We're gonna go right into everyone's favorite movie that happened right during the holiday season. And that is Wonder Woman 1980. I mean, there is just so much to talk about for this movie. And I'm going to say one thing. I liked it. But there's that big but about the movie. And out of 10, I'm going to give this movie about a 7.5. Because, I'm giving it a high mark compared to some other movies. The movie was good. It wasn't great. There was a lot of flaws. There was a lot of missed CGI pieces. There was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. While you're giving it a 6, you know what? Go ahead, Mayhem. Run it by me while you gave this movie a 6. We're gonna go with the first line. Let's talk about the good so far in the movie. Let's talk about the good. What did you like so far in the movie?
I just want to say that this movie, to me, sounded like and looked like an answer to Marvel's Captain Marvel. Disney's Captain, whatever you want to call him. And there was no need for this. There was no need for an answer. You won with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman beat Captain Marvel, honestly. It was better. Right. But it was good because if I were to give it a 7, it's because it stayed on track. It was an 80s movie through and through, 100%. Clear message. You understand what the message is about. Be yourself. Be careful what you wish for. Be grateful about the people in your lives. Learn to let go. All this good stuff. They had some good homages, like when the Invisible Jet, Linda Carter at the end, even the running scenes and whatnot, like the old style Wonder Woman, definitely great things. However, it's not the movie we needed. It's not the movie we needed. It's a movie that was okay to release. It wasn't the movie. I really think they're wasting Gal Gadot's potential. Mm-hmm. I think Gal Gadot could do a way better job acting as Superwoman, Wonder Woman. I mean, let's think about it. To an extent, Wonder Woman is Superwoman to an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent, but whatever. But
is a female version of Superman, which basically that's what it is. It was instead of having a Superman or at the time Supergirl, how do we make her have her own standalone character?
We had Wonder Woman, and then we had Superwoman and Supergirl who came later. Linda Carter's exposure at the end thus leads me with questions. Now, what happens on the third movie? Are they going to come together? Is that you know what I'm saying? Is like what's going to happen later on? I'm a little excited about that. Aside from that, that's about as good as I can get. Oh no, Pablo's performance.
Right.
The Mandalorian. Narcos. This movie. This man can act with whatever. His price just went up. I should be wearing the shirt, but whenever you call his phone, it just says, cut the check. This man has got it. He also nailed it. Yeah. I like Cheetah's character in the beginning when she was socially awkward and she kind of became that power. Aside from that, it failed. It failed me. And they they did an okay job with Maximo Lord, honestly. But go ahead. Yes,
Right.
you're right, Les. We needed to come out with a bang, and it was just like we. You know what?
It
But I will
it
say
was
this.
it wasn't 100% bang. I like look. Let's talk about some of the flaws and everything. Let's talk like what was bad about it. What I've noticed the first scene and everything was how did they let the little kid still have the cell phone, and they had 3 cutscenes with the little kid in the first scene have a cell phone in her pocket. How everyone missed this, I have no idea. How any fan normally they jump on the bandwagon when we saw the guy standing behind the Mandalorians. We see that cutscene. That little kid clearly had a Android Samsung phone in its pocket, and we
Wow.
had 3 quick cutscenes with the little kid's cell phone right there. Number one. Number two, the second little kid in the movie, that never would happen in real life. Second of all, and I'm gonna say this right off the bat, that family would have ran out the door in a quickness, especially when the eight. Um, I was not a big fan though. I was okay. I love Kristen Wiig's character. I thought she was great. She has to stop being bridesmaids. It kills her.
Mm.
Cry having to redo the funny, awkward characteristic type of girl. She needs to stop doing it and be a stronger woman. I loved her as Cheetah. The more her confidence grew, I loved the Cheetah character. I wasn't a big fan of the suit or whatever CGI was.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% for it, but remember, I do a show called This Week in Toy Culture, and when we saw the toys that came out, thank God they went back and they cut and pasted and fixed everything that was bad about the suits. Now,
Yeah.
the bad part about it is Wonder Woman apparently in this one knows how to fly or has learned to fly. But not only does she learn how to fly, she now has these Spider-Man abilities out of nowhere. And when she's leaving DC, now meanwhile, and oh, by the way, Chris Pine by far is a much better actor than Gal Gadot in this movie. To him, stay surprised in almost every single scene as if
Yes.
he's seeing everything for the first time.
Yes.
It is a very difficult thing to do over and over
He did it
again.
very well. Very well.
Like he's in one or in several days, he's reliving life. And I'll take this from Kevin Smith, which I noticed it as well too, when he takes the invisible jet and he soars through the fireworks, because normally his idea is he's around war. This is the first time he's around explosions, and now he sees different colors. He's seeing rainbow colors of the world, and he's surprised. He's always in surprise and awe. Um, I love the little love story, but then there's the innuendo with the love story. But as you also said too, yes, for every wish there's a consequence. We have to
Right.
live through those consequences. There is the good and the bad. And then yet when she flies from DC to the island, she all of a sudden now has the suit out of nowhere. Yes. And apparently this
No, she went and she got it back. Here's what happened. After
no, no,
she
no. She's Go ahead.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
because what I saw was she's flying into the air because she's going to do her job. She's going towards the island, swinging away. It's not like she went back to DC to go get the suit. We're sitting in the corner of a room.
they made a mistake. I know exactly.
It's the biggest mistake they
She
made.
needs to
Yes.
either learn how to fly or just like tell her it's a controlled cassette because she was swinging, right?
Right.
She released Steve. She's gone with him. She swung like Spider-Man up into the clouds, right? She swung from the building to the plane. From the plane, she started controlled descent. Then she swung on a cloud. I don't know how. And I guess
Right.
all that time she was controlled descending. It seemed like she was going in the way of the island. And then the lightning started happening and she swung off the lightning, which to me doesn't make any sense. The lasso of truth, whatever. But supposedly she went back for the armor and then went back because then she knew where they were. And it was just like it doesn't make any sense. And then if she knew
No,
how to
she
fly,
did. She did. In true Superman form, she
yes.
listened with her ears. That was going back to Superman, where he can listen to the whole
Can't
entire
I
world.
hear right now? What?
Yes.
I missed that. How is that?
No, in the night, in the sky, as Max is making everyone make a wish, she can now hear everyone making their wish in the air.
But how did
She
she pinpoint where he was at? Oh man, this movie. Oh my
Yes.
god. I'm
If
sorry.
you missed that, she now pinpoints exactly where he is. That's why her jumping into the suit, her gold dart like suit,
Right.
which all of a sudden Cheetah is strong enough to break the wings.
Okay,
Yeah,
so then she wanted to be the apex predator. You know, she said she was tired of being like everybody else. She wanted to be an apex predator, right? Here's my problem with that. Cheetahs aren't apex predators. They're not. If anything, a tiger would be. Cheetahs get their meals taken by hyenas, by lions, sometimes even scavengers. So they messed up that part. But okay, I even checked the credits. They said cheetah. But if she's not like Wonder Woman, how can she be the apex predator and cheetah be strong enough to break the armor? You
yes.
understand? So that there's something wrong, and we don't know if she renounced her wish. They left that open ended, but like that was wrong.
Here's the thing.
Okay,
Cheetah actually makes two wishes,
right.
and that's the only time she makes a wish when she has the regular stone in hand, and then Max grants her a wish in the movie. So she denounces her second wish that Max granted her. So at the end, we don't really know if that actually happens, if the first wish is ever denounced. Because how the Jets be safe just found out my dad. Oh, I'm so
Uh,
sorry.
Evan, sorry to hear, man. Man,
Hey guys, be safe, Kevin. Be
yeah,
safe.
be safe. Wow.
But to be honest, actually, there were a lot of good and bads. Just admit it. I was not disappointed in the movie. I was not 100% disappointed in the movie. I was disappointed in certain scenes that could have been better. There was a
Yeah.
lot of scenes that were unnecessary. I saw a lot of scenes that were actually from the '90s put in that they shouldn't have been. Um, so like especially in the museum of especially the Smithsonian where the astronaut suit is around in the 80s they didn't have the astronaut suit till later in 1986 where I forget the young woman's name, the teacher, where they had the horrible accident in space. They later started having a suit at the Smithsonian. So there were a few 90s pieces put into the movie that no one really caught eye in.
Can I say one thing? Here's what we needed from Wonder Woman. I personally believe they made Wonder Woman way too strong, and they should have definitely developed her as they went along. Now, granted, maybe Wonder Woman doesn't have enough story material to make, let's say, 4 great movies, maybe 2 to 3, but they weren't pulling from those materials. Because if like I'm a fan of Wonder Woman because I really was more involved in Wonder Woman in Justice League. You guys remember that animated show, Justice League of America, where she constantly proved she was just as strong as Superman, right? She was a woman, but not to be trifled with or looked down upon. And in her stories, if you watch Injustice, they say she's the best fighter. Like she's the most dangerous, credible threat aside from Martian Manhunter and whatnot, you know? So like here it is, they had all these great sources they could have pulled from 1984 and they could have like infused that with, and they just made her like a wire act, like a circus trapeze artist, and it was just bad. And I don't understand why, because Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman could be so much more. She could be so much more. Cheetah, honestly, I was when I heard Cheetah and Maxwell Lord right before I saw it was going to be in the film, I was like, okay, this is going to be dope because Maxwell Lord isn't just a one-dimensional character, which he wasn't, but he didn't live up to it because of the writing, and it's just like we needed something so much more. And they're saying Wonder Woman 3. I'll be
I'm
honest
for
with
Wonder
you.
Woman 3, but I'm kind of worried now because if they go to the whole love story with Chris Pine, this screams now Notebook 100%,
Oh my god.
and Twilight at the same time. Look, I love Jenkins to death. I think she's going to do great in the Squadrons movie for Star Wars. But then I also don't see. Remember, we're probably going to get this next Wonder Woman movie 4 or 5 years from now. We're going to see how the Snyder Cut is going to be, how the Snyder Cut's going to, I guess, rebrand Wonder Woman in a way. And the third story will hopefully set for the next storylines because Gal Gadot is 100% invested in Wonder Woman. She is producer.
Right.
She will be Wonder Woman until she takes down that mantle, and I'm for it. I just hope the Reachers don't ruin what's going on. And you're right, there are other storylines, especially from the comics to the cartoon series,
Right.
that they can easily piece together. And we've seen the disaster of Justice League when you don't do a right storyline, where Henry Cavill came back and he had a mustache on, put a beard on him, make him come out of the cave as if out of the tomb, as if he grew a beard,
Right.
save the movie. Because we would have been okay if Superman had a beard and long hair.
Right. 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 It's
Would
the
have saved the movie.
inconsistency.
It's the
It's
in
crazy
yes.
because whenever the gods are in play with DC Comics, especially with Wonder Woman, there's always a name for the god and what they do. Does anybody remember the name of the god that created the trinket, the stone? They never said it. That's unlike DC.
They said it once. They said it
I
once
don't
towards
remember it
the
at
end.
all.
I
I've
don't
seen that
remember it as
movie
well
twice.
too.
Oh God, I wonder why I saw it twice. I did not see it. Somebody let me know the name of that god that was the
That
empowering this
made the
stone.
yeah, that made the Witch Stone. It was a god, and Gal Gadot or Wonder Woman mentions it once, but she freaks out and she had to read it in the Aztec books, which goes back to many centuries.
Right.
Um, all right. So Wonder Woman for the next Wonder Woman movie, who do you see will be her next villain or villains? Because don't forget, how does the Carter now fit in? My opinion is
Mhm.
if you're gonna go straight to the Snyder cuts into Justice League, the only villains I can see now fighting Wonder Woman would be Darkseid Force, and especially when he has his women on his side. That's the only three I can think of. But then, what storyline are we going with? Are we now going for '90s Wonder Woman? Right? I'm confused. I'm confused of what her next villain is going to be, or will it be a male?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think the next villain will be Cersei, who's like the sorceress who all Amazonians hate or whatever, and they'll make it tie back into the homeworld. I think she'll go get somebody with magic, and if they're smart, excuse me, maybe they'll introduce John Constantine to help her with magic. That would be dope. You know what I'm saying? To fight magic and the gods,
They
you know,
or
huh?
yeah, or they can put in Zatanna. If you're gonna
Zatanna.
keep it woman orientated, put in
That would be
Zatanna.
dope. Yeah, see, so then you could have Constantine and Zatanna kind of come in and introduce. That would be smart. I think that's the next logical, honestly, villain because otherwise it's got to be somebody who's just as strong as her,
Yeah,
and it's after the '90s, so it's like who else was here?
right.
It's weird. The universe right now is in disarray. They need a crisis event. They need to reset everything. But I'm going with Cersei, definitely.
Well, we saw in the Wonder we also saw in the Wonder Woman movie that Wonder Woman says that a previous warrior was with them. They left and everything.
Yep.
Will the other hero of man get mentioned? And that is Christopher Reeves. Will Linda Carter, if they ever do the third movie, would Linda Carter mention the death of the first Superman or sort of superhero? You really think that could be happening?
I don't think so. I don't think
No?
so. I Okay. Well, if they do bring Linda Carter in, I want a really great and stellar script for Linda Carter because I believe she deserves that much. She obviously has to
There's a lot
train.
much.
Yeah, she has to train for this, whatnot. I think it's possible. What I don't want is to be like a lackluster thing. Then once again, it comes legal issues as far as referring to Christopher Reeve, Superman, and whatnot. And the problem is, if they get the same people to do this, did anybody else feel like when she was learning how to fly, it was like watching Christopher Reeves learn how to fly again or flying through the air? Like the whole, it's just like you're gonna muddy everything else. I think they should probably leave Superman out of it, especially since this is a woman featured focused film.
Right.
You understand? You don't need Superman to save the day. You have Wonder Woman. She's, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
I'm
because
every woman.
you don't
It's all in
yeah,
me.
because you don't need Constantine to be put into the loop. You can put in Zatanna and other female leads. Like you have
Right.
Huntress, you have two versions of Huntress. You have so many other women characters, and even jokingly enough, even Harley Quinn can actually fit into somewhere down the line as well too. Because at one point, Wonder Woman does fight Harley Quinn just for fun,
Right.
flicks her around like she's nothing. You also can throw in some Poison Ivy as well too. Even though it's part of Batman lore, she does go through it as well too because Wonder Woman runs out of villains and she goes through Batman's villains because they all have some sort of superpower.
Well, technically, Wonder Woman's major villain is humanity. it's man, really, but okay,
It's
I
man,
guess. Okay.
her war against man, and then we'll throw in some Green Lanterns as well too.
Oh my god, no,
Um,
not yet.
what?
Too early.
Not yet. To her. All right. So how will this lead into the Batman vs Superman movie then? Like how you gonna if the third movie gets put in, how you gonna put the third movie into the lead? Because they sure as heck didn't lead this into Batman vs Superman. So meaning that there is going to be a 90s sort of 2000s version of Wonder Woman again if the
It
third movie
can't.
comes out.
It can't because then you can't justify Bruce's obsession with Superman, the alien, when there were other villains that he could have been obsessed with, and he wasn't as obsessed with Superman as he should have been with Diana at that point, with Wonder Woman. Um,
You want
it
to find the
doesn't work.
original picture, which is missing Wolverine in the picture. But that's a different story.
I hate you. I hate you. No, listen. They just need to they need to crisis everything and start everything over. It doesn't make sense. I personally think to this day, Batman vs Superman is a trash movie. Man of Steel was great. Man of
Right,
Steel was great. Batman vs Superman made no sense, and then Justice
right.
League was just like, here. So
Whereas
now
it,
we have
because Marvel has Avengers, we have to play catch up, and we're going to throw this mess all together. That's basically what it is. We watched a hot dog mess happen in less than what 5 years.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Look, they need to do everything over. Keep the Batman fight scenes. Work on a better Bruce Wayne. And I think it makes sense. Listen, if that's the case, if they do find a way, is it all going to make sense when Flashpoint comes around? Probably not.
I
Probably
mean,
not.
look, we're already going to Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck and Jeffrey Dean Morgan put on the cowl one last time. Could we see more? Who knows?
Right.
And only time will tell if any of these movies is ever going to be good, or does DC just keep it in their Legends? I don't know what was the side character Legends category and stuff.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. It's
We're not
okay.
talking about the Legends category.
We've been over this.
Uh, Anywho, I was gonna say this, man. What's gonna be next for the next Wonder Woman movie? Will we, as we discussed many times, or how about this? Other thoughts on the current Wonder Woman story arc that you would like to see into the third movie?
I'm gonna keep saying this, and I really hope somebody hears me out on this one. Crises everything and restart everything. Build Wonder Woman up. And you know what? To be fair, I think you should build Wonder Woman up from the first film, but instead of making her as powerful as a god, because she beat Ares, maybe start off smaller. You understand? So that way she has more villains and there could be more growth. I have no problem with Gal Gadot working as Wonder Woman, taking over the reins. I want to see a little bit more acting. I want to see more story. I want to see more layers, better script, because otherwise she
Say
has
better
it.
lace?
Better layers, better layers.
Oh, better layers. I thought
Right.
you said lace. I'm like, wait,
No,
what?
not lazy.
Better
Not
layers.
lazy. No, not at all. No, because after a while, what you don't want to think of Wonder Woman is a female Superman. That's not what we want.
No.
We want an all-powerful woman who represents the power of women, who can see themselves in her in different ways. Stop stealing from Spider-Man, because they definitely said they wanted that Spider-Man feel in the interviews. Stop doing that. And really work on a cohesive story and show how powerful she is to other superheroes. Go from there. I would love to see that. Chris Pine, I think, needs to be retired. Don't come back anymore. Thank you for your service. That's it.
It's okay. So you think that if Chris Pine comes for one third time, that'll be the end?
No,
They
it'll
buried their
diminish the
series.
series. It'll diminish the series because now it's like you can't have Wonder Woman without Chris Pine. You
Right.
see? Like we don't need him. We don't need him. Bring in other characters just to show how deep the DC landscape is. Maybe a little bit more history about the Amazonians and just about what they went through. Throw in Linda Carter for the next one per se. Maybe she could start off the intro and then it'd be Gal Gadot from there on. Like it could be so much. It's just the writing has to be immaculate because you are. Let me change my words. You are messing up an
Wonder Woman.
iconic superhero.
Right.
And there's no reason to.
Just the ladies to answer this. If you're one of the ladies, guys, don't answer this as well too, because we don't know what your answer is going to be. If Chris Pine comes back for the third movie, will this look like a Twilight/Notebook saga? And will you ladies watch it if it turns to that? That's all we need to know. We'll focus on Leslie. More of the 1980s Wonder Woman that we feel in love. We need to have an emotional attachment to this character like we did with Linda Carter.
Agreed.
I mean, look, they have Linda Carter in this movie because, as I said before, could there also be a mini attachment to the Christopher Reeves character? Because when she says she is of the woman era, will they mention maybe a Christopher Reeves in the background because they did have that feel? I mean, I'm for it if they mention Christopher Reeves just for a hot minute. As far as legality is concerned, look, DC has all the way into it. They can throw it. God,
I thought of it. Wonder Woman 3, right? The movie I would be psyched to see. Cersei is the main villain, and what they do is, right, what Cersei does is she finds and tracks down Linda Carter and makes Linda evil. So now Gal Gadot and Linda Carter have to fight, and then they come together and they fight Cersei. I think, however that movie's done, if it's done right, it'd be great. I think that
all
would be
right.
worthy of 3.
We got one person say, "I'll watch it with the relationship with Steve was part of the storyline." All
Okay.
right, so one for the okay. I guess we'll take it. I mean, look, they already announced the second this movie was already hitting for Christmas. They already announced that part 3 is eventually going to happen. But Jenkins has some Disney Marvel, the Disney slash Star Wars attachments that she needs to finish first, and then hopefully they have a really good script to talk on it. Um, Look, I know Sammy hasn't like watched the movie as well too. Let's ask Sammy's opinion on this thing as well too. Sammy, um,
Welcome
we'll just
back.
go with we'll go with the first movie only because it's a love story. Would you see a continuation of a love story with Wonder Woman and her male counterpart?
So I've read quite a lot about the film. I just haven't
That's
watched it yet, but you know, it needs to be in the past. That's the whole aspect of Wonder Woman that was touched on in the animated series, but was not touched on in any of these films, except briefly for in Batman versus Superman. Is Wonder Woman's immortal? She's a goddess, and her whole thing was falling in love with a human and learning that men were not as mean and awful. And the reason that love was so powerful was because it ended. So I think the fact that they brought him back did not help her character. It was just to put Chris Pine's name on the marquee. I I think it does continuously bringing back that character does a disservice to the character and to Wonder Woman and this message that they're trying to send with her. So I would read Wonder Woman with a love story because she's had many lovers. She was with Batman. She was rumored to have been with Superman. There were other male counterparts that she fell in love with.
Fell in love with Green Lantern at one point as well too.
So, cool. Chris Pine, Steve was the character that made her realize, that he was, the reason men were, not, he was, example that not all men are trash. And as Leslie said, it very much was never consummated and it was unrequited. So I would be fine as that being an aspect of her character as it is with anyone. But to make it turn into like Wonder Woman in the Notebook, that is now something completely different. And it is the complete antithesis of what they're trying to get across with their feminine, their I'm not going to say feminist message, their women empowerment message that yes. Wonder Woman's a badass. She doesn't need anybody to help her. She's more powerful than pretty much anyone in the DC universe except other gods, which is comic book lore. She's more powerful than Superman. But yet she needs this man to help her and tag along. It defeats the purpose of the message that they're trying to
give. Woman, but she still wants love. That's
and that's fine. But it's very difficult for Hollywood to create that balance with women, with their strong female characters. So I personally, I haven't watched. Like I said, I haven't watched it yet. I will watch it. But, I really think that they need to axe Steve after this flick and just have a story based solely on Wonder Woman moving forward into whatever, time frame it's going to be.
See, one of the things I did like about this movie, besides that, it brought a nice feeling once you watched it, even though it was bad, but it was still a nice movie to kind of like, okay, 2020 is over. This is a nice movie to watch, blah, 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 is that Wonder Woman was kind of relatable. Right. The love story was relatable. her feelings to helping other women and being heartbroken to an extent was relatable to other people.
Sure.
And when you watch that movie, I don't want to spoil anything for you. I know you said you've read a lot,
All
Sammy.
right, I know all about it. It's all good.
Okay, so you'll see that, especially
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you
Um,
can also, here's the thing, and
Yeah.
this is me pointing out a very typical man response, which you just had, is women can be relatable without having love. You
Yeah.
don't need a love story to be relatable to a woman.
Yes. Agreed.
So the thing is they're, saying that they made her relatable with romance
Yeah.
is the only way Hollywood sees women as relatable.
I got you. I see what you're
Okay.
saying. Yeah.
So she's not relatable if she doesn't have a love interest or she's falling in love with a man. And that's the way
Hollywood.
That's the way Hollywood has brainwashed brainwashed us into it. So I'm not saying your answer isn't bad. It's
Yeah. No.
you can be relatable, but the thing is that she should be relatable outside of her romance.
No love story. Like she shouldn't have a love story.
Right.
She should have a
many-
strong, independent woman storyline, which doesn't need a love story to get her interest. She's very interesting enough without the love story.
Right.
She, we've read the comics. There are times in the comic we go through 4 or 5 issues. There's no love story in it. She's trying to.
And think of how many films of dramas of men, where that guy was a super relatable character. Was he falling in love with a girl? Was he doing this? So you can. The problem is that women are being seen through one way, and Wonder Woman is trying to. And that's through the object of a sex object, and women are trying. Hollywood is trying to go the other direction, but still keep their foot in this camp. And you can't do that. If you're going to break the mold, you got to smash it and then make a new mold. I don't know. Like she said, the best part of the film was the love story, so it might have been. That's the problem that a lot of these modern films have. They have this sort of bipolar way, like women are amazing, but you still need a man. You know what I mean? And that's not necessarily the case.
Well, you can go with the other group and say she could have had the female partner.
Sure.
And that would also, that would have been the same exact thing. You're throwing in another love story.
To make her relatable, she shouldn't need romance at all. If you need to, it's bad writing if the only way your character is relatable is through a romantic encounter to make you identify with them. That is bad writing. It's cheap writing. And that's coming from a complete storytelling standpoint, no matter what the film is. It's like it's just to elicit an emotional reaction in terms of this character. It serves no purpose. In the overall story. That's cheap writing. Just like George R.R. Martin, when he builds up this character and then murders them for no reason, it's a cheap trick to elicit an emotional reaction from you so that you feel you're getting something from the story, even though you're really not. It's a cheap trick. And that's what it sounds like is what they did in Wonder Woman with Steve and Diana.
Right. They play with every single emotion, whether you lose, especially during this time, whether you lose someone or not, you make one more wish to see them one more time.
Right.
Remember, for every wish, there's a consequence, and they play with that emotion so hard, and especially for them to wait. I'm not gonna lie, they waited to Christmas to do this.
Yeah, right.
And then
you make a wish for a gift,
I don't make a wish that Santa Claus is real, and he's actually just flying around with seven reindeers flying through the sky. Where's that wish? That'll make it more real.
8 reindeer, not 7.
7? Who leads? Doesn't Rudolph like
reindeer? Well, yeah, Rudolph would be 9.
All right, I don't know the names of all the reindeers and stuff. Anyway, that's just about enough for today when it comes to everything in pop culture and everything else. I'm going to give you guys 2 quick things. One is a quick quote, especially if you've watched just to say goodbye and everything. You know what? I'm going to end the quote with a goodbye. Anyway, that's Michael Mayhem. You can catch him on his podcast with Last Stop on the L. Check out his podcast. Right below me is the amazing, the talented Sammy Castillo. You can catch her every Wednesday, especially not the last two Wednesdays, but you can catch her this Wednesday with her live show on Wednesdays. Go and check her out at Castillo Studios and check out her website, castillostudios.ninja. Hopefully, you changed your website and fixed it. Hopefully. I'm going to end with a quote and everything. But from Mr. Miyagi, anyone who's watched Cobra Kai 3 or pretty much has not caught up, man who work for passion, always richer than man who works for money. My name's Arash Zandieh. Have a great day. Happy New Year. And we'll see you all next week with This Week in Pop Culture. Yeah, yeah, yeah.